Assalamu alaikum students, this is Farwa Batul, your O-level computer science instructor, and welcome to another video for chapter number 8, programming. We are done with our first kind of loop, that was a count control loop, and in this video we are going to start the second type, that is the condition controlled loop. So in the condition control loop, remember that there are two different types. So the first one is known as a pre-condition loop, and the second one is known as a post condition loops. So both of them are actually depends upon the condition in order to do the iteration for a certain type of code. So let me quickly focus on the first type of condition control loop, that is a precondition loop. In a precondition loop, we are going to see the while loop. Yes, while loops are actually used as a precondition loops in different programming languages. Particularly in this video, I'm going to focus on Python. Yes, I will tell you how you can use a condition control loop named as while loop in Python as my programming language. So let me quickly move towards, okay, I just wanted to explain you that a loop structure is used for iterations. And what is iteration? Iteration means that when you want to repeat some task, you want to do a task more than one times, there is a repetition in certain line of code. If you want to do that repetition or iteration, you have to put those line of codes into a loop so that they will go on, depends upon a condition. So when the condition will be true, the iteration will be continue, and until the condition becomes false, you will go out of your loop. So let me quickly tell you that how we can implement that. In a precondition loop, remember that a condition will be checked before every iteration. Yes. If you want to run the code or you want to perform a task, even for one time, you have to go through the condition. The condition will be checked. If condition becomes true in the while loop, then your code inside the loop will run. Otherwise, if the condition becomes false, even for the first time, then you are never going to do the task that you specify inside your loop. So I hope that is very clear. So precondition loops are one that can have more than one iterations, or it can also have no iterations at all. And how it can be possible? Remember that if the condition is true, then you can have as many iterations as you want. Keep in mind that condition must be true, that you have to check at the beginning of your loop. And if the condition becomes false for the first time, whenever your condition becomes false, even if it is false in the first turn, then you will never have any iteration or your code is not going to run. Okay, now I hope that this thing is clear about a pre-controlled precondition loop. Now let me move towards the syntax of Python. How we can use this while loop as a condition control loop in Python. So let me quickly write down code for this. First, you have to use the while keyword. And after while, you have to put your condition. I'm just copying the code from your book and I will explain you that how it is going to work actually. Total weight must be less than 100. Okay. And then remember that you have to put a colon after your condition. That is showing the start of your while loop. It actually indicates the start of your loop. And inside the loop, you are going to have whatever you want to do, you have to uh, put some indentation. Indentation is very important. Your code must be indented after your while statement so that it will specify that this is actually what is to be done inside the loop. So total weight, there is a formula in which total weight equals to total weight plus weight. Okay. So this is the formula that is given in your book. Now let me quickly explain you that how this will work. Okay. First of all, keep in mind that there are two variables that are being used. First one is a weight variable that must have some integer value, and there is another variable that is a total weight that is named as a total weight variable. Both are integers. Both can have any number inside them. Okay. So let's suppose we start with let's start with the initial values. Total weight depends upon the value of weight variable. So for this reason, you have to initiate the weight variable with some value. So before the while loop, I'm just pushing this syntax a little down because I have to include one more line here. The weight variable is very important. So let's just start it. Initial value, let me put it 10. So 10 is the value that I put in weight. Now, what I have to do, I have to calculate total weight. And let's just put another value in total weight. And that is, let's suppose at the beginning of your code, total weight has a 0 value. So these are your initial values that you set in your variables. So you can just see that in your memory, it will look like this. Weight has a value 10 and total weight has a value 0 at the beginning. Now let's start with our loop. For the first time, when you will check your condition, then see the condition. Total weight is less than 100, which means that if you put total weight as 0, so 0 less than 100 means the condition is true. When the condition is true, you are going inside the loop and you will run the line of code inside that. So you have to calculate total weight by putting the initial values that are in your variables. Total weight was set to 0 and the weight variable has an initial value 10. So 0 plus 10 becomes 10. 10 is going to be is the value that you will have in total weight. So this is your first iteration. Okay, in order to show you something on the screen, let me just quickly write down a print statement here. Print, and I'm going to print the total weight. So you can see the changes in total weight for every iteration. So in the first iteration, if the value of total weight will be printed on the screen, so let's suppose your output is this. What will you see? You will see 10 on your screen for the first iteration. So let me just mention here that for the first iteration, you are going to see 10 on your screen. So remember that inside my loop, inside my while loop, there are two statements here. I'm just adding a print statement so that you can actually see what is being done in each iteration. So that's why this is not mentioned in your book. I am doing it because I want to show you that what is actually done in each iteration of your while loop. So this is the changes in the first iteration. Total weight becomes 10 because it is calculated as 0 plus 10. It becomes 10. Now, once you are done with this, let's move towards the second iteration. Okay, for the second iteration, again, the condition will be checked. When the condition will check this time, so total weight becomes 10 now. If 10 is less than 100, yes, this time the condition is true. Oh, remember that when the condition is true, you will go inside your loop, and for the second time, it will be calculated as total weight was 10 and weight variable has a fixed value 10. So 10 plus 10 becomes 20. So in the second iteration, the value that is to be printed for total weight becomes 20. So you can simply see in the second iteration, 20 will be written on your screen. And remember that you have to change the variable value as well. Total weight is saved as 20 in the memory. Now let's move towards the third iteration. In the third iteration, again, you are going to check for the condition. So condition is total weight less than 100. So when you put the new value for total weight, that is 20 now, 20 less than 100, yes, the condition is true. You will go inside and this time the total weight value will be incremented by 10. So every time when your iteration will run, the weight will have 10 added. 10 will be added in your previous total weight value because you are continuously adding weight into the total weight. So every time the iteration will run, 10 will be added to the previous value of total weight. So it becomes 30 now. So 30 will be printed in your third iteration on your screen. So this is actually the output that you will see. 10, 20, 30. Now, quickly moving towards the fourth iteration. In the fourth iteration, you will compare 30 with 100 because total weight is 30 now. 30 less than 100, it's true. So you're gonna calculate 30 plus 10, it becomes 40, and 40 will be printed on your screen for the fourth iteration. So you will continue till it will be continued till the condition is true. So 40 less than 100. Now in the fourth iteration, what will happen? 40 plus 10, you will calculate total weight as 50. So 50 will be printed in the fifth iteration on your screen. Now for the next iteration, 50 less than 100, the condition is true. So 50 plus 10 becomes 60 now. So 60 will be printed in the sixth iteration. So remember that for each iteration, you have to check for your condition. That is very, very important. So we are on the sixth iteration. Now we will check the condition again. 60 is your new value. 60 less than 100. The condition is true. So now when you will calculate the total weight, it will be 60 plus 10. So the new value is 70. 70 is stored in your total weight as well as it will be displayed on your screen for the seventh iteration. Now let me do it for the eighth iteration. I will check for the condition. 70 less than 100, it's true. So what you will do, you will just add 10 to 70 and make it 80. And in the eighth iteration, 80 is your total weight that will be displayed. Now let's do for the ninth iteration. In the ninth iteration, since total weight is 80 now, so 80 will be compared with 100. Still the condition is true. So you will go inside, you will increment the total weight with 10. It becomes 90. So 90 is going to be printed for the ninth iteration. And now let's move towards the 10th iteration. In the 10th iteration, you will compare the value 90. 90 less than 100. Yes, the condition is still true. So you have to add 10 to 90 for this ninth iteration. So 90 plus 10 becomes 100. 100 is going to be your print output value for your 10th iteration. In the 10th iteration, the total weight becomes 100. Now, when the total weight becomes 100, this time please look at this very carefully. Now, when you will go for your 11th iteration, you will check for the condition first. Now, if you see the condition 100 less than 100, this time the condition is not true. 100 cannot be less than 100. They are basically equal. So the condition becomes false. And remember that when the condition is false, you are not going to have any more iteration. So the output will stop over here. You are not going to have more values for your total weight. So total weight, this is actually known as a condition control loop, where the condition is basically controlling your loop structure or your iterations. So once the condition becomes false, you just immediately go out of your loop and you are no more going to do the task again that is specified inside your while loop. So I hope this is clear to you. I'm just going to show you that how we can do it practically on an online Python editor. Okay, so I have already bookmarked my editor. You can just go ahead on Google and search for online Python compiler so you can have a lot of examples. Okay, let me just erase the code already written here. Now we will start with assigning a value to a weight variable. Make it 10. The weight is 10, and another variable is your total weight that will be calculated inside your while loop. Total weight is 0 initially. So next we have to start with our while loop. Inside the while loop must have a condition that is total weight must be less than 100. Now put a colon so that it indicates the start of your loop, and remember to put indentation. By default you can see that indentation is there in the editor, so no need to do it yourself. Now the next thing is to write down what you have to do actually inside your loop. So we are calculating total weight as add total weight value into the weight that you have fixed, 10. So every time total weight will be having plus 10 into its previous value. Once you calculate that, the next thing is you have to print the value for total weight. Okay, so this is all about my while loop. Now let me quickly run the program and see if I did it right. Wow, this is your result that was expected actually. In the first, total weight was 10, then 20, then 30, then 40, then 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Why there are 10 iterations? Because the condition was true till total weight was 100. So this is your total 10 iterations, and this is actually the result. So thank you so much. Remember that in a condition control loop, your condition it must be true in order to run the inside code or in order to do the task that is specified inside your while. The condition needs to be true. If the condition will be false, then your code will not run. So this is how we can do a condition control loop in Python. Thank you so much for watching the video. Stay tuned, stay connected. We will do the same thing in Visual Basic in the next video. Bye-bye.